Make Your Peace podcast is the Wynonna Earp fan podcast that digs deep into every episode, not only providing comprehensive recaps, but also delving into character relationships and motivations. Hosts Catherine and Laura take their time exploring all the nooks and crannies of each action-packed episode, puzzling over and speculating on moments you may have missed. If you enjoy a good discussion of your favorite sci-fi show, then this podcast is definitely for you. You can find Make Your Peace podcast on Twitter at 4YE_MYP podcast, where you will find links to their latest episodes. Make Your Peace podcast. Dig a little deeper.
Hey everyone, welcome to Make Your Peace, a 4YE podcast about Wynonna Earp. I'm Catherine Meushaw.
And I'm Lara Hayes.
And today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 8, Waiting Forever for You. A few notes before we get started. Thanks to the folks at Earp Fiction Addiction podcast for the commercial. It's been really nice to have it in front of our stuff. And as per usual, thank you to everybody for comments and sharing the podcast and everything. We really appreciate it. So keep them coming, and I will reply to your comments when I get a second. And actually remember, so probably when I load up this episode on YouTube. Goldfish memory, man. Alrighty. So, Lara, do you have a recap? I'm assuming you don't have Stefan this week, but...
I don't have Stefan this week on the grounds that this episode really taxed my knowledge of tarot and the Book of Genesis, weirdly enough. So... quick recap, everybody. It's date night in purgatory, which means dressing up and drinking and fighting demons as a formidable foe stalks the gang.
Alrighty. So, title?
The title for this episode comes from, I believe, the Willie Nelson song, I'm Waiting Forever, but this time we see a snippet of verse instead of a song title.
Aha.
And first impression... I really thought this episode would be dealing with either an exit or a reunion of some sort.
That makes sense. Well, we did get Constance back.
True.
I mean, it was upsetting on a lot of levels, but we did get Constance back.
Yeah, I was a little bummed that we didn't get to see our season 1 Constance again. Mm-hmm. But I loved this, like, resurrection of the Stone Witch. It was all, like, very Headless Horseman to me. And it also sort of showcased Bolshar as a kind of Bobo in his own right, like, tasking others to do his bidding to sort of distance himself from danger.
Yeah.
We've seen Bobo do that a lot. And, I mean, I say... why stop with resurrecting Constance? Let's bring all the sister wives back. But like I was like hardcore hoping that we would get to see our season 1 Stone Witch. Yeah. Even still though, I think that it was I really loved zombie Constance.
It'd be nice to get a little, like, a slightly less barbecued Constance. And I mean, it was kind of heartbreaking at the end too. I mean,
yeah.
So it was a little rough. Enough so that, I mean, Peacemaker seemed to have taken pity on her. She got the blue Peacemaker. Yeah,
she did, and I was really excited to see like the return of Blue Peacemaker, mm-hmm. and also to see that Peacemaker can sort of judge a mercy kill with that much gray area. You know what I mean? Because like she was still like a wraith, right? Like she was still like a zombie. So this evil being, but like Peacemaker was still able to recognize suffering, regardless of, you know, like whether she was good or evil mm-hmm. or what have you. I also really like that we got to see Constance's knife again in this episode. We saw it in that like standoff with Kate. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was just a really nice bit of like continuity.
Yeah, it was, I mean, we didn't get, you know, season 1 Constance, but she did show up in a couple forms. But yeah, seeing her knife was nice. The knife was nice. Jesus. Seeing her knife was nice. And like I said, I mean, it's hard to get a bead on what's up with Peacemaker. I mean, it's hard to judge why Peacemaker glows different colors. and we got a new color. Peacemaker glows white with Bolshar.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I was like, am I just not, like, does the blue take a second to set in and it all happens so fast? But I also noticed that it was, like, white, and I was like, what? And that was probably, like, the one part of the episode that I had to rewind, like, several times because I was like, I'm seeing this, right? Like, this is not blue.
Nope, yeah, it was definitely, like, a very, like, shocking white light. And, I know, like, when it turned blue, when Wynonna shot Willa, it had that different symbols on it, but that's the only time we've seen it. Once again, when it turned blue, because I think it did it with Rosita last season, too. When it turned blue, we didn't get the different, like, symbols. We still got the runes, the different runes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we got with Bolshar, too. Like, it was still the runes, it was just white.
Okay.
So, no idea what that's about. I kind of would have liked to see what happened had she shot him, but, you know, they got the powder.
Couple more episodes, girl.
I know. It just would have been cool, but he, like, blew the powder in their faces, and, you know, now we don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Although, like, I had a note in there for that. That's just, like, it totally looks like when you blow a dandelion, it looks like that. When he blew it on them, it totally looked like that.
Make a wish.
Exactly. Sorry, I just kind of dove right into the big Peacemaker stuff in the beginning.
Yeah, no, I like it. No filler, right? I feel like I need to say this and just, like, get it out of the way. Charlie was not awful in this episode.
He wasn't awful, but I'm still kind of... I don't know if it's just my reaction whenever a random white dude shows up on my screen, but I still got kind of bored with him. I don't know. It's terrible that that's, like, my gut reaction. I'm just like, ugh, men. But
yeah, I don't know. I think it was smart to show, like, if he's going to be around at all for the rest of the season, I think it was smart to, like, just give him something else to do, something outside of Wynonna. And I also feel like they maybe figured out a little bit more, like, how to write for this character. That came through, too. His writing was better.
Yeah.
And, like, the whole, like, that scene of him, like, punching Doc out and Doc, like, allowing him to do it so that he doesn't bite Charlie. And then afterwards, Charlie's kind of, like, ragging on his own failed date. Yeah. And it was just... It was relatable. Like, I mean, I've never run off with a vampire on, you know, like, some excursion, like, when I would be thrilled if that was the end of my date. But just that, like, you know, things not going as planned and stuff, and, like, mumbling to himself, like, imagining, like, what he would say to somebody if they asked. I thought that was all, like, pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, he had some really good moments. Just, like, him hitting Constance with her own arm, you know, stuff like that. Like, he did have his moments. I was just also kind of like, meh. You know, and I guess it's nice they have a hookup for blood for Doc, you know, with his friend.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the truth. I was wondering how they were gonna take care of that. If they were gonna go, like, hospital or slaughterhouse. Because I feel like if you got a vampire, you know, like, you're going to be doing the three options, right? Murder, hospital, or...
Yeah, butcher shop, something slaughter. Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting, because I don't remember if we mentioned it. I think we did mention it last week, but, you know, it's not like... It hasn't seemed to be, like, an automatic thing for Doc's turning into a vampire. It seemed to be kind of a pretty solid, like, slow turn.
Yeah, it was pretty gradual.
Yeah, because, I mean, this is, like, the first time he ate somebody, you know, he fed off of somebody was Robin, it seems. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's not fabulous that he keeps focusing on and reiterating, I didn't kill him because he tasted bad. Or I didn't recognize that it was Robin. It's like, Doc.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest problem isn't that it was Robin, it's that you tried to kill somebody.
Anybody, right.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought was really, well, I guess two things technically. You know, like we see Jeremy try to like ward Doc off with an impromptu like pencil cross. And I was wondering whether or not that would or could like potentially protect people from Doc. Like, does this incarnation of the vampire have a crucifix allergy? And judging from the way the holy water soaked rope traps Doc later in the episode, I would say yes. Like I think that these vampires are made vulnerable by religious artifacts, and I would say that's probably a pretty like blanket statement. It's usually not like just holy water or just crosses or something like that. Also, that whole thing, Doc thinking that Robin tasted foul reminded me of Angel trying to feed off that swim team dude who was getting dosed with the fish steroids. Yeah,
just completely spit him out and stuff like that. Yeah, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he said Robin tastes of rancid earth, and then later, I think, said molded earth. So, it's, there's... And we know something's not quite right with Robin, with what he's sensing, and we know he got the wonky walnut and green goo treatment a few episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Robin's a little bit in danger.
Yeah.
But
I think another like neat thing that came up was, you know, Wynonna was like prepared to kill Kate to change Doc back, which is a myth that you spoke about like last week, I think.
Yeah.
That in some vampire myths, like killing the sire restores the fledgling's mortality. But Kate debunked this myth, either because it's true and killing her would do nothing to Doc, or to save her own skin. It's kind of hard to say for sure. Wynonna was literally staring down the barrel of the gun at her. But I will reiterate that Kate has been fairly forthcoming so far. Like, the things that she's withheld were more personal in nature, not necessarily, like, you know... It seems like if it was relevant for them to know, she's told them.
And, I mean, I think at this point, she's kind of realizing that turning Doc didn't really... do what she thought it would. So I don't think she would lie about her death turning him back just because she knows she doesn't actually have him now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it could be a variety. I mean, she could have been lying. I don't think she would. Honestly, all we have to do is have Wynonna find, you know, Otto again and kill him and see what that does with Kate.
Truth. There we go.
So... I still, I want to know how the whole process works. I think I mentioned that before. It's because when Robin was bitten, and then Jeremy mentions to Wynonna that he won't, he'll be fine, he won't turn. I want to know how they turn.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually have the exact same note because you brought that up before that we didn't see a blood exchange.
Yeah.
So, so at this point, is it like a volume thing? You know, because there are certain vampire myths where, you know, you can take a little bit from a human, but if you take enough, then they turn, and then there's blood exchange and stuff like that. So I'm with you on that. I don't think that it's quite clear how these vampires become vampires, and I would like to kind of cross that T.
Yeah, because even looking at Buffy myths, I mean, their whole thing is basically feeding on somebody until there's basically nothing left, and then there's the blood exchange. So... I like the blood exchange thing. I think it presents, you know, less of a chance for accidental vampirism. You don't want to be stuck with it. If you just, randomly kill somebody and then they start following you around like a puppy because they're like, oh, you sired me, now what do I do? It's well... That puts you in a weird situation.
I also think it could reach pandemic levels, so fast. If it was if it was, just based on, the amount that you took from someone.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think the exchange puts just one more step in it to make it more selective, right?
Yeah.
So you've kind of got to choose the people that you actually want to make.
And True Blood had that whole thing about about the person bitten needing to be buried.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah.
That was really cool, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's pretty terrible if you really think about it, but yeah, True Blood did do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Like, it's just, I'm just so curious, and I don't know that we'll get an answer, but if I ever get a chance to ask, I will be. Oh, I mean, Doc and Kate are both kind of messy eaters. Like, Kate just kind of, like, went at that one dude that she kidnapped. And then I like how, Doc, once he realized that it's Robin, couldn't have, like, wiped his mouth a little bit before coming into HQ, and he's got, like, this huge... Like, I know he can't see himself in reflective surfaces, but he had to have felt it.
Yeah, it was like drying and stuff. I think like that initial transition from like human to vampire is what like really like sort of fascinates and even like kind of, I guess it's probably the thing about the creature that I find like most frightening for like somebody who's like recently turned. Because like we see Kate, like with that guy, she's trying to feed Doc. And from that we assume that he hasn't been eating.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's been, like, putting it off. And I think that's one of the biggest, like, horrors of vampirism is thinking of those, like, first kills.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the creature, like, really starts to lose their humanity.
And you kind of have to wrap your head around the idea that you're, eating people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's got to go. Yeah.
You can't really have the reservations about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and apparently Robin, so Doc either part of being bitten, it was either part of being bitten that Robin was like glamored a little bit, or Doc can glamour, because Robin thought that he was like bitten by a squirrel, an angry squirrel. Yeah. So I know we were talking about Doc Glamour. Like, I think we were talking about Doc. I know we were talking about Glamour. I think it was about like the possibility of Doc glamoring. So
I was waiting for the pink fog. I was waiting for the sex fog.
He apparently can't do that yet.
I know. Glamour is my favorite power, though. I think that's probably what you were thinking. Like, glamoring is
yeah,
that's my favorite vampire power.
It really is kind of. It's a good one. It's fun. I mean, we haven't really seen any sexy fog from Kate in a while either, so...
True. Yeah, true.
They probably only had the budget for so much. Tragically.
The fog machine is broken, so
I know.
We're screwed. That's it. No more fog.
Tragically, it has all gone to the vampy teeth and eyes. And, keeping with the vampire stuff, I mean, we did learn that Kate lied about always being a vampire, and that she only went to her uncle to turn her when she found out about Doc.
Yeah.
Which, again, I mean, really? You spent 100 years looking for just Doc? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I like Doc.
I know, I do too. I had a little bit of like I love the backstory that we got on Kate. The motive behind Kate and Wynonna's standoff, like, not so much.
Yeah.
But, like, I appreciate that through Kate we got to see, like, a very different side of Doc Holliday. Like, we got to see a cat. He was just a total cad, careless with the people that care for him, careless with himself. And, like you said, in the end, Kate chose vampirism as a way to use immortality to search for Doc forever.
Yeah.
And she tells Wynonna that Doc chose vampirism as a way to fight for Wynonna forever. Just sort of like reminding us all that that line between good and evil is always so much thinner than we would like.
Yeah. Just kind of related, have any of Kate and Wynonna's conversations passed the Bechdel test?
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I don't know that. And I would really like to see them talk about anything other than Doc.
I also, I really hope that's not the last we see of Kate, because to bring her in for that role, I don't love that. She's a good character.
She's not actually gone.
She's a good character and everything. It's just another one of those things where it's like let's not check off a box, let's develop a character.
Yeah.
So I hope she's not gone, especially, I mean, 2 seconds after she left, like, Bolshar shows up, so depending on how quickly she moves, he might have been able to get to her if he wanted her. I think he would have been able to get to her regardless.
Yeah. As she said earlier in the episode, like, he knows where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't quite think that's the last we've seen of her. It was just kind of, I want to see more.
Yeah.
So, because, she could be a really good character. Like, she could be a better character. So, I don't know. But yeah, I don't love that it's like her whole thing was just, I don't know. Nobody else in 100 years. Just, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe she has questionable taste in men. She did refer to Charlie as Wynonna's fine-ass date, so maybe I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know.
Maybe we're the wrong lesbians to be discussing this.
Maybe.
This could be the problem. I mean, we could probably keep going with Kate since we got some great backstory from her. You know, we got the nobility from Europe thing, which I don't remember if this was actually a thing about Big Nose Kate. Probably not. They might have adjusted that.
If she's Hungarian?
She's Hungarian, I know that.
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, nobility though. I don't know about that.
I mean, because she was definitely still a prostitute. Like,
yeah, I'd need to read her wiki again.
She was the daughter of a Hungarian physician and teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So no, yeah, I just had to double check it.
One thing I did like, sort of going back to one of our earlier episodes, the first time that we saw Kate doing tarot, is, you know, like we were talking about, spiritualism and mysticism was big it was a big industry and a huge influence and attraction during that time period. So I really like that, you know, they gave that to Kate, you know, like they were like, she's trying to make ends meet by reading cards and, you know, as a mystic, because that would be a career opportunity for a woman during that time. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
And I did also like her reminding Wynonna that history was, you know, written by white dudes.
Yeah, that was also nice.
But yeah, no, I really did like and her mentioning, like, you know, I've always gotten, what was it? You know, I've always known that I was good at, you know, knowing things or something. Like, I've always known that, you know, I knew things that people didn't. It was basically the vibe. So I like that part of it. And I like the tarot reading, that it's a big thing for her. I love that, you know, just her, I mentioned it before, but I do love her taking people's hands and just slapping the deck like she does that to Wynonna. Yeah. And it's like, it's completely different because, like, with Jolene, she was taking an unwilling participant and being like, I'm gonna make you do this. But she totally just had to tell Wynonna to touch the deck. Yeah. So I love her just taking her hand and popping it on the deck. I also kind of love that she just carries around the deck all the time. Like, she just pulls it out of her pocket or bag or wherever. I just love that.
You know what I appreciate is that another thing about having tarot cards is, like, caring for your deck. Like, mine are also wrapped in I'm sorry, I'm, like, gesturing. Like,
I can't see it.
Yeah, I know. Mine are also wrapped in a scarf, and you should keep them in, like, their own box, or you should wrap them in a scarf, like a personal item of yours, or like something like that. Again, like to respect them, to keep them clean, obviously, but also like to hold their energy in, and also to hold like your energy in with them. So that was a really nice touch, having her sort of, you know, like she didn't just grab the deck from, you know, loose from her pocket or anything like that. Like, she was handling them and carrying them around, like, very respectfully, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, somebody really did their research.
Yeah, somebody's into tarot.
Nerd. No, just kidding.
It's me.
I know. Have you been consulting and didn't tell me?
God, I wish.
Somebody
give me that paycheck. Jesus. Oh,
I feel
guys, I am available if anybody's listening. I am for sale.
Great. So we've gone from pimping you out to all out.
Now I'm selling myself. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you do you, girl. You do.
Word.
You do you. Back on track. Let's see. I mean, since we're kind of talking about it, I know tarot was kind of a big part of the episode, so do you want to just kind of dive on in?
I would love to.
I was going to say, the look on your face tells me everything I want to, I need to know, so.
Okay, alright, hang on, I'm going to get a drink of water. I think this is another one that, my voice is going to be hoarse at the end of it, because I never have this much to say. Alright, so, welcome back, Tarot, how I missed you. So, in this episode, you guys, we learned what we probably already suspected. The destiny of the cursed Earps is inextricably entwined with the destiny of Bolshar. The two are joined by this curse, and as such, their past, present, and futures are bound together. So we're going to take a closer look at the cards that we saw in this episode, starting with Bolshar's cards in order. So in his past, we see the devil right side up. That card in this position represents bondage, addiction, sexuality, and materialism. So in Bolshar's case, I took this card to mean that he had sold his soul for power, that he is in bondage, to a greater evil.
Right.
Now, his present is the Lovers, right side up. And this is where the show kind of starts to take a little artistic liberty, because the Lovers represent love, harmony, relationships, values, value alignment, and choices. And in the upright position, this card is actually very positive, but the imagery depicted on this card really works for Bolshar's character. This is kind of what they want us to hold on to. The Lover's card, for anybody who didn't get a very good look at it, shows a naked man and woman standing beneath the angel Raphael, whose name means God heals, and represents both physical and emotional healing. The angel blesses the man and woman and reminds them of their connection and union with the divine. Also of note, our Adam and Eve stand in a garden beside a tree with a serpent on one branch, representing the tree of knowledge and therefore temptation and also Eden. So with this card, by showing us the Lover's card and having this interpretation, the show wants us to focus more on the imagery than the actual interpretation. Mm-hmm. Lastly, for Bolshar, let me clarify. Bolshar's future is the Tower, and it's right side up, y'all. So I like to call this card the most devastating card in tarot. And it's, I guess, potentially good news to anyone looking to start an apocalypse. This card represents disaster, upheaval, sudden change, or revelation. The imagery here is very dark. It is an isolated tower on a mountaintop. Lightning strikes the tower, and bodies are falling from fire-engulfed windows in a last attempt to escape destruction. So here we kind of move back to the more traditional divination. The tower is symbolic, like the devil card was symbolic. So I guess, how do we put all this together? I would, in one reading, I would say that in the past, Bolshar sold his soul for power and gave himself over to that darkness in exchange for the strength and the fortitude to pursue his goal, in this case, to find or break into the Garden of Eden, which we'll talk about more later. I've got another section on that. And this life path, or this achievement, will result in the tower, destruction, chaos, and upheaval. Any questions so far?
I'll save it.
Okay. All right, so moving on, we're going to take what we already know about these cards and their meaning, and we'll apply them to Wynonna's reading, courtesy of Kate. Wynonna's past and the Earp family past is the devil right side up. And this is fitting for a family with more than their share of addiction, but continuing to focus on the bondage interpretation that I took this card to be a very literal representation of the curse. So again, the devil means bondage, and Wynonna and her family are bound to this land, to this curse, to Bolshar. Wynonna's present is the tower, which Kate says represents darkness and destruction, and I agree with that interpretation. Wynonna is currently living in chaos. She's fighting for her life, right? But Wynonna's future is the lovers. So her future is Bolshar's present, and she doesn't know this. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know that her reading is in a different order than his, right, which in this case makes a world of difference, right? It's a great outcome for her. Placement is extremely important in tarot. So I think what we need to focus on, Bolshar is within arm's reach of his goal, which has something to do with finding the Garden of Eden, and he has or he will soon find the gates. But for this card, with this interpretation, I believe the show wants us to take, like in Wynonna's future, it suggests paradise reached, paradise realized. So when we see the Lovers card for Wynonna, I think we can actually read into it a little bit more than we could with Bolshar. Mm-hmm. Because you remember what I just said about like the healing nature of this card, like the image of the angel Raphael blessing and healing humanity. For this card to be in Wynonna's future, I think it's safe to assume that it means not only will Wynonna achieve her goal of defeating Bolshar, thus ensuring harmony and peace, but it could also represent Wynonna being freed from bondage and free from the Earp curse. And that's all I've got about tarot. Also, thank you to biddytarot.com. You guys, if you want to get into tarot, if you're into tarot and you need a refresher like me, Biddy Tarot is an awesome resource, and they'll tell you everything you need to know.
Cool, thank you. Because you did answer one of my questions.
What was your question?
Oh, you answered about like how you felt about the Wynonna's present and future being switched with Bolshar.
Yeah.
But you answered that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, we've seen the Lovers card show up twice before now. You know, there was once when Doc had it when Wynonna walked into Shorty's, and then when with Doc and Kate we saw it before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on that?
So, to be totally honest, and I think I said this too the first time that those cards came up in that context, I do think that they were relying very heavily on the imagery of the card. So they wanted to show it to us as almost as a herald, right? So somebody pulls the lover card and then their lover walks in, or they have an important discussion and reconciliation with their lover, and then we pan to the Lover's card. So I think what the show was trying to do was establish the tarot as something that you could trust as an omen. And I think the easiest way for them to do that was to give you just a simple visual. What I really love about this reading is that I don't think that they were doing that. Like, they were actually working within the bounds of tarot here to create a reading that felt authentic for where we are right now in the season and what we have coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I just wasn't sure if your thoughts on it changed with knowing that it was also one of the cards that Bolshar and Wynonna pulled. I
think that's a really good question. But I haven't changed. I think that like I said, I think the card is different when Bolshar sees it versus when Wynonna sees it, and that's just, we talked also about like how it matters, the question that you ask the cards, and it matters like how you approach the cards. But as far as like the other instances in the season of seeing the Lover's card, I don't think so. I think they just, like I said, I think they wanted to build up the audience's trust and get them to invest in the cards that they're seeing.
Alrighty, well, thank you for that info dump. I think between all of the tarot, because I immediately thought of you, and I was so upset when you couldn't finish the episode on Friday. Because I was all like, oh my god, I need Lara, I need Lara.
Yep.
And it was just like, oh my god, she's gonna lose her shit. You know, like, I was totally excited for that. And I knew I was gonna have to tap you for the other part of this, the Bible part of it as well.
Yeah.
Like Nicole, I lack the knowledge. Although I did not chill behind a church smoking. If I was, like, at a church on Sundays, I was in the church. So.
Yeah, I know. No, I absolutely did not. Mm-mm. My mom was a Sunday school teacher for a while, so, like, I wasn't gonna get away with any of that. I had to sing in the choir. I wasn't doing anything. I was praising the Lord. Which I guess served me well, if only to cover this episode.
There you go. It saved me the Googling. So, I mean, now that we mention it, do you want...
I was gonna... Yeah, like, do you just want me to do it?
Do you want an info dump now? Make you get your big chunks of, you know...
Okay. All right.
Deep breath.
So, yes, I've got this. So, you guys, I've added a section to my notes called Bible Study. And, Catherine, if you had, like, told me last year that this season would task my cursory knowledge of tarot and call upon all my years of Sunday school in one episode, like, I would not have believed you. So... let's dig into creationism with the same open-minded approach we've given to spiritualism and whatnot. Tolerance, everybody. So, okay. Picture it. The Garden of Eden. Heaven on earth for Adam and Eve, described in Genesis and Ezekiel. It's what gets mentioned quite a bit in God's garden are trees, actually. The Garden of Eden is all about some trees. You've got the tree of knowledge, which is what got humanity into this mortal pickle in the first place. And then there's the tree of life. The Christian creation story echoes the Mesopotamian myth of a king placed in the divine garden to protect the tree of life. Now, the tree of life appears in many myths and connects all forms of creation in Mesopotamian legend. The Tree of Life also appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh, a story that hinges heavily on a quest for immortality. The Garden of Eden is considered by scholars to be a myth, but among those who believe it to be real, some suggestions for its location include Iraq, where the Tigris and Euphrates run into the sea, Iran, Lebanon, and the Armenian highlands. So kind of moving back to Christianity, when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, they were banished from the garden to prevent them from eating of the tree of life, thus denying immortality to humanity. But that wasn't God's only play. He placed a cherubim and a flaming sword that turned in every direction to protect the tree of life, assuming humanity ever came crawling back. It's also said that God hid the garden from sight so that humanity could not find the gates, like, ever again. They couldn't see them, which also kind of works for, if we're in the Garden of Eden, why don't we see it, right? Like, there is some belief that it is masked or hidden. Sidebar, keep the story of the Great Flood in mind. Noah and his seasick family and all of their fur babies, right? The overriding belief among, like, scholars today, Christian scholars today, is that the Garden of Eden was quite literally destroyed in the Great Flood, and so it's impossible to find. But little did they know they should have been looking in Canada this whole time. So,
apparently.
All that being said, and geography aside, if I had to guess, I'd say that Bulshar is after the garden, to get control of the tree of life, either to harness the power of creation and thus become a god, or to eat of it and become immortal, which I assumed he already was. So more likely, the tree could make him invulnerable to all types of harm, which would make him godlike, at the very least. And at this juncture, I think that's all you need to know about Eden until more details are revealed on the show.
Once again, thank you for that info dump.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was not expecting this at all from Wynonna. And, we did get we've had it said, as Wynonna pointed out multiple times, that the triangle is a sanctuary.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I guess the triangle hiding heaven on earth makes sense, considering it also seems to be harboring hell on earth.
Yeah. Also, I guess also of note is that purgatory falls inside the boundaries of the triangle, and a triangle is symbolic of the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So we've got that imagery like kind of working for us. And there's been plenty of speculation, right, that Juan Carlo was a kind of Christ figure. And I would go a step further to say that's the whole reason he could observe but could not interfere. Yeah. Like him being divine, if he was, right, he would have to respect human agency and the gift God bestowed on his creation, which is the gift of free will.
Right. Yeah, I was going to mention the triangle thing. Mm-hmm. I did actually know that. It's one of the, so, I don't know. It should be interesting to see where we go with all of this. I especially want to know what Bolshar wants with Doc and Wynonna.
Yeah. I don't know if they're just an obstacle. I don't know why he would need them. I can't imagine that, like, a blood sacrifice is required unless we are going straight Old Testament up in this piece.
Yeah, I mean,
like
maybe it has to do with Wynonna's connection to, the curse and the fact that she's an Earp, and Wyatt and Doc are people he blames for, what happened to him and stuff like that, his fall from power and him being entombed.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, right? They can be two objectives that aren't necessarily entwined, right? Like, she is an heir, and he wants to kill her because he's trying to kill the entire town for what they did to him. And Doc too, so so on the one side, he's pursuing the Garden of Eden, and on the other side, he also wants revenge.
Yeah. But see, I mean, we don't actually know what he's doing to the town. We don't know that he's killing them. We just know he's feeding them weird walnuts and green goo. We don't know. I mean, we know that hasn't killed them because we have Robin. So we don't know for sure what he's doing to the town. And maybe part of his missing piece to find what he needs to involves Wynonna and Doc.
And that kind of brings us to Waverly's angel dad, Julian.
Yeah.
Earlier when we spoke about tarot and we spoke about the Lover's card, we see the angel, Raphael, blessing, restoring health and prosperity to humanity in the Garden of Eden, And Catherine, you and I spoke about angels and the fact that angels are designed for specific tasks. And if all of this is true, and the Ghost River Triangle is concealing the Garden of Eden, Julian could be a Raphael-type figure, or he could be a human version of the cherubim that God stationed in Eden to protect the Tree of Life. Which means that Mama Earp might know Julian's purpose, and as such, she knows that the only chance Wynonna stands to defeat Bolshar, and the only thing that will save humanity from destruction, is to return the protecting angel to the garden to defend the Tree of Life.
All right. That
is what I'm going with. That's where I'm at.
Hey, I mean, that's a lot more than I have, so. Yeah, I mean, you're right though, we don't know his purpose, we don't know what Michelle knows,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know anything, and we have seen an angel statue, you know, maybe the greenhouse comes back somehow.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know. We know nothing and everything.
Many hints and no hints at all.
But thank you for diving into your Sunday school teachings.
You're welcome.
It is appreciated.
The wild episode.
I know, and we haven't even talked about Constance or Robin yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or the ring, really. I mean, you just mentioned it, but...
I do have something for the ring, too, yeah.
Well, I mean, go on.
Oh, okay. So, like, at least one power, like, granted to the wearer of Bolshar's ring is super strength. At least to the wearer that the ring finds worthy.
Yeah.
It's possible that the ring was given to Bolshar by some yet unforeseen, like, force to aid him in his quest to enter the Garden of Eden. But, and I know that we're working with kind of two different timelines here, because Julian was with Michelle. Julian's also immortal, right? So we'll keep that in mind. But we saw Julian with Michelle, and then Bolshar had the ring way back in the, Old West type days. So I'm not sure how this works, but I now believe that the ring, which says paradise, is a relic of the garden, or a key to the gates of the garden, and I think it possibly once sat on Julian's hand. What I find most curious is that the ring, sort of like Peacemaker, seems to have its own agenda.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see the ring continuously returning to Nicole. We've seen both Wynonna and Doc wear it with no weirdness, but also no super effects, right? But when Nicole has it on her in close proximity to Waverly, in the face of, like, imminent danger, it begins to glow, and it won't let Nicole wear it or hold it. But the ring stops glowing for Waverly. It fits her hand perfectly. It chooses her. Yeah. And I think it recognizes her as Julian's heir, or as a divine being. Mm-hmm. Which I know does not address how Bolshar was permitted to wear the ring to begin with.
Right.
But I don't think we know everything there is to know about that ring just yet. And I think that the show is going to have to work out a good explanation for that. Like, the ring in Hebrew or Aramaic, right? The old God's language, right? Like, old biblical language, old Judaism and stuff. So for the ring to say paradise on it, and for us to find out that we're like in the middle of the Garden of Eden and all that stuff, there's no way the ring doesn't have something to do with the garden, which was which is like, Eden is like, it like means God's paradise or something like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, and like Waverly, she felt like she was meant to put it on, and Kate even warns her not to underestimate the power because it's older than most things on Earth.
Yep.
And she can't take it off, so.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is now that it has her, it wants her, and I think that was why Nicole couldn't get rid of it. Yeah. Like, I think it could sense at least that Nicole was not a danger, and that she was maybe the fastest way to Waverly. So it just kept, like, popping up for Nicole. I don't think Nicole was ever the intended wearer of that ring. I
don't think so. I think you're right. She was probably just the best delivery system to its proper owner. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it caused Waverly to have that super punch that gave us a Wilhelm scream, which was probably one of my favorite, like, it was a really great moment in this episode when she punches Constance, and we just get, like, the great old school Wilhelm scream. For those of you who don't know what a Wilhelm scream is, I will put it into the audio about here.
Oh, there we go.
So, You're welcome, and I'm sorry.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm sure we're due for the return of Michelle with Julian, or information about Julian soon, probably in an episode or two. I have no idea when. God, what's her name? The actress playing Michelle.
Megan Follows?
Thank you. My God.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have
That's
no.
okay.
Yeah.
The panic on your face.
I know. No, you don't understand, dude. I'm really good with stuff like that. Like, that was hard for me. That was a bad.
Laura got one.
I know. I'm cutting all of this. Sorry to take that away from you, but
that's fine.
I can't have my shame go out to the public.
Don't you sweat it.
I have no idea.
We need our roles. Yeah. I'm the forgetful one. We need that.
I know. I have no idea when Megan Follows is set to guest again, but I'm assuming we're getting to a point, I think, where it's about time to have her come back.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just thought about this. I guess there's a chance that now that Waverly is wearing the ring, and I really, really think the ring has something to do with the garden, it could be like down to Waverly to protect them, especially like. It's very late in the season to, not that they can't, but like, it might be easier to like, and more fulfilling, right? To like give this responsibility to Waverly versus you think like cast some dude, right?
Right.
To play Julian and hope that the guy looks angelic enough, and like, do you know what I'm saying? Like it might be better to just have her be the thing between Bullshart and the garden, and so Mama Earp doesn't actually come back with Julian.
Yeah.
I could see it, because like we never saw that actor's face in the greenhouse. We just saw like his hands. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to play that, but that's an option.
I mean, Waverly should get to be an heir.
Yeah, to something, right?
I mean, she has to be. She's got to be. So maybe that's her inheritance right there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The responsibility of guarding the garden.
Man, she's going to rethink that one.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Paradise on Earth, maybe not.
I mean, she's got to stop. I mean, first it was touching the random goo, and now it's, she had this goo that called to her, and so she touched it and it went poorly. She has this ring that calls to her. She touched it, like she threw it on, and it kind of went poorly. She has not learned not to touch things that call to her.
No. That one runs head first, like into life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let me take it back. There are some things that call to her that she can touch. Like Nicole is fine.
Yeah, sure.
But she's got to stop doing it with random shit, yo.
I know.
We have to talk a little bit more about Constance.
Okay.
I know we talked about her a little bit, but I mean, it was like nice to see her. It was also a little heartbreaking by the end, but she did get some really fabulous moments.
Yes.
Like Doc kind of like knocks her out, but can weird zombie people get knocked out?
I don't know.
I feel like she was just like biding her time, but I do love that they let her, like, they left the trunk open while they went to go to the well, and then it resulted in her driving off and giving us another fabulous moment from the episode with Constance, like, waving her arm that had been ripped off and flipping them the bird with it, and it was the most magical thing.
I'm with you. It was the funniest moment of the episode for me, and probably my favorite moment. Like, despite all the fun I had with the tarot and all the homework that the Bible stuff gave me, like, this one little scene of Constance flipping him off and driving off in Charlene was just, yeah, it was a delight. I think I watched that like 4 times. Like, just laughing, just kept rewinding it.
Yeah, it was so good. And definitely why I chose it as my photo for my recap. I I could not resist. I had two, and it was like I had two pictures that I was looking at. It was like one was Wynonna and Doc at the end with like white Peacemaker, and then the other one was Constance in the car. And of course I sent you Constance in the car, and I was like, I kind of want to do this. And you were like, do it! And I mean, you can kind of tell that the hand is slipping them the bird, but you can kind of not. So I think
it was
okay.
Perfect.
I know. I think it's not the first time I've had a photo of somebody flipping the camera the bird as my cover photo.
Probably not. Not on this show.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's happened at least once. I've had that as a cover photo for something. I like her getting that mercy kill and everything. I do enjoy the good mercy kill and her kind of choosing, picking the gun up and putting it to her forehead and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, she was done.
Yeah. Waverly's reaction to Constance in the barn was pretty great too.
That was one of my favorite quotes for sure.
Yeah. It just makes me laugh every time. Like every time I watched it, I was just like, I love you, Waverly.
I kind of wish that potato licking scene wasn't part of the season trailer, because on its own, it's a really creepy moment. Like all of the talk of the seeds and Bulshar and lying down in the forest to let the trees have you. Like, it's because they're just having such a pleasant conversation. They're old friends, like, catching up, like, before that happens. It's really, it could have been, like, really, like, weird and, like, menacing, I think, if we, like, didn't know that lick was coming and it just happened. Yeah. I think it would have been a really great surprise, versus, like, watching this, I was sort of just waiting for it, and so I think it kind of took a little of the magic away from that really weird moment.
Yeah, I honestly, I agree with you, and honestly, it's one of those things, how sometimes when somebody, like, hypes up or blows up something small, and then, like, when it comes up to it, it's like, you're like, okay, cool, is it done yet? And I feel like the fandom kind of did that with the potato. So by the time it came up, like, I've been talking about it for weeks, where it's just like, I can finally unmute the word potato in a couple weeks. Like,
yeah.
I think that kind of, it's like, okay, we've got this. Because, yeah, you're completely right. I mean, we had a total tonal shift.
Yeah.
Robin completely changed.
Yeah, went dead in the face. Just,
everything. Yeah. I mean, he went out, he was out. And then, we get that weird potato lick, and just Waverly, like, kind of giving a moment before she doesn't rush in and like right away is like, Robin just licked a potato. She kind of like finds her moment, and that is, did he lick a potato because he was bitten by a vampire? Which I think is like one of my favorite things. Like, how is that?
Let's make it canon.
Like, how is that logic there? Yes, everybody who's been bitten by a vampire is going to go lick a potato.
Yeah, I feel I get it. You know what I mean? Like, they knew they had gold in that scene. You know what I mean? Like, they knew it was weird. They knew it was gonna be like an unsettling sort of moment, and that it was going to get laughs, and that everybody was going to like it. So of course they put it in the trailer as this weird little, like hook. And then, it had the effect they knew it would have, it blew up. But as a result, like, watching it, I was just like, man, I really wish that this had surprised me. I wish that I hadn't known, because I think I would have just delighted in this moment had I not have been warned repeatedly that it was going to happen. And that's a catch-22, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I have to mention Allison at IDW, who cuts the trailers and promos and everything, does a fabulous job.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
She does, I mean, all of them that have come out have been so great, and she does take great care in choosing clips to balance between, like, teasing and spoiling, and she does do a phenomenal job. So, like, do want to mention that she has done, like, a fabulous job, and she always does. She puts in a lot of work for us. Because it is that catch-22. It's like, maybe she was thinking, oh, I'm just going to throw this in here because it's a fun, weird thing, and then it blew up, so who knows. But
yeah,
I do enjoy Jeremy throwing the potato at Constance.
Yeah.
That made me laugh because it took me a second to like really register what it was that he had thrown at her. And I was like, oh wait, it's the potato they took from Robin.
I like that Robin's just like, do you guys see that barbecued lady over there? Like, he's just like, he's just come out of this, like trance or whatever. He doesn't really, he's not really 100%, at the moment. And then there's just zombie Constance walking around, and he's like, man, am I still, like, having my, like, tree freak out, or is this happening? I thought that was really good.
I mean, poor Robin. He, went out in the cold and peed in the barn, and then everybody found him just there. Like, that's an awkward way to meet somebody your date, like, to have. It's an awkward night to have with a new relationship.
Yeah.
And, no, I do like that. It's like, is that, normal around here? And Jeremy's just like, actually, yeah. But we did find out something about Jeremy, too. We got a little bit more information about him. Mm-hmm. He was in a car accident with his mom and was with his mom's body for 3 days. And now he can feel when his friends are scared.
Yeah. So it's like some kind of, like, super empathy, I guess, or something.
Yeah, but that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's pretty horrible. I actually wrote, like, I have a note about that too, and I said, which is a horrifying and tragic origin story, by the way.
It
wow.
really is.
Yeah,
and I mean,
that's awful.
It's just even stacked with Nicole, who's like, I survived a horrible massacre. And you've got Waverly, who's like, I got possessed and made a tower of spoons. Mm-hmm. Which really downplays some of the horrible things that happened when the goo happened. Like, she lost a hand.
I really love it when a show can, like, boil down some of its most fantastic storylines and deliver them in such, like, a hilariously, like, benign way. Yeah, and I really felt that in this scene.
Buffy does that a few times. Like,
oh, yes.
When they introduce, like, when Faith and Oz meet and, when they talk about him being a werewolf, it's like, what happened? Got bit. Or no, it's kind of a long story. Got bit. Apparently not that long.
Yeah.
And they do that with Amy in season 6 a little bit too. Amy, how you been? Rat, you, dead. Oh. So yeah, I do. It was a good moment, just the boiling down. But it's like you're like, okay, yeah, massacre, possession. Oh, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Like, just so terrible. Which begs the question: did he sense something was wrong with Robin? Like, after he got off the phone with him.
Yeah.
Like, did he continue to sense something? Like, was it a heightened sense? He already knew that, Robin was screaming, obviously, like, mm-hmm. He didn't need to have any sort of supernatural sense to know that Robin was scared, but I'm wondering if it was, like, amplified or kept going longer or something like that. Or dialed down, since we knew Robin was glamored and kind of chilled. Like, or if it all of a sudden, just stopped.
Yeah, could have given Jeremy some peace of mind, right? Because then
I don't know.
Robin was out of it.
If you can sense when your friends are scared, and you sense that this guy that you've been talking to is scared, and then all of a sudden it goes away.
Oh yeah,
and
you're
you probably can't get a hold of him.
It's not good. Yeah, never mind.
Like, that's a terrifying ability. It's a terrifying thing that Jeremy is dealing with. But I don't know. I love him.
I do too. And a big gay, like, double date dinner in this episode, like, when was the last time we even saw this on television? Like, a double date between two gays?
It's probably been a while.
Right? Like,
sure
L-word, queer as folk, something?
Yeah,
like, way back.
I'm sure it's existed in something like that, something with a predominantly LGBTQ
cast.
Group of people. Yeah. But no, I loved it. I mean, I need a big gay dinner. Where's...
Right?
I don't have enough gays around me. Somebody plan a big gay dinner around me. Invite me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we just need all the big gay dinners. Yeah, I kind of love that. And also, like, we did get that. I guess we should probably mention that awkward scene with Nicole and Waverly, that awkward moment with Nicole and Waverly.
You know, I think Nicole should have just rolled with it and proposed to Waverly on the spot.
Did you see the look on Nicole's face?
She should have. She should have just womaned up and gone. Did you see the look on Waverly's face? She was so happy. Why wouldn't you just, you know, suck it up? Get hitched. She had a big cursed ring, a very excited future bride, and future Bay of Honor. And I think sometimes you just have to go where life or cursed objects take you.
I don't know, dude. I mean, it was awkward. I mean, I'm sure we'll see an engagement at some point in their future, but yeah, I felt like it was one of those secondhand embarrassment moments that you're just like, oh no. Oh no. Because, I mean, like, even, I don't know what Jeremy was thinking when he first saw the biscuit, but he immediately jumped right onto Waverly's excitement. Was like, I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of this.
I also think the information dump in that scene was hilarious. Like,
Yes.
ring is haunting Nicole. Doc is a vampire. Robin is licking potatoes. Fantastic.
And he just bounced.
Yeah, and I think he just left. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do love a good information dump like that. Yeah, I love the big gay dinner. But they didn't even get to have their big gay drinks, which is really the point of big gay dinner.
Yeah, I was messaging Catherine about this when we were talking about the episode, because my, like, big thing was just like, but did they ever eat? Like, I was so excited for big gay dinner. I was like, but did it happen? Like, were there themed drinks? Who ate the biscuits? Don't tell me the biscuits got thrown away. Like, what happened? Like,
but let's not entertain the idea of the biscuits getting thrown away, because that would have been some terrible, terrible thing happening if the biscuits got thrown away.
Like, if you want to throw away that one biscuit because it was incubating a demon ring, that's fine, but, like, none of the other biscuits deserve it.
I mean, not only that is, I think we are a little bit past the 5-second rule, considering Nicole chose to pick up the ring instead of the biscuit, and then as far as we know, the biscuit then remained on the floor when they went to search for Robin.
In perpetuity.
So
the biscuit is still on the floor.
Probably. It's probably like, Wynonna probably gonna walk in and be like, what the hell is this biscuit on the floor? But I'm pretty sure it's past the 5. That biscuit was done. But yeah, I hope that the biscuits didn't go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
But they had to have themed drinks at least.
I hope so.
I just want Waverly to be able to plan a proper party without interruption.
That poor baby.
I know, she gets so excited. But yeah, I have so many questions because Waverly and Jeremy both have, certain food restrictions. We don't know about, we don't know what they would have picked for food. It's a very big question. It's a very important question. Yeah, when Lara did message me about it, I was like, please post these questions in the podcast. I didn't even want to answer. I was like, I would like to answer in the podcast. The most important questions to ask while we discuss this episode.
Look, y'all, I am a Southern girl, and if I think that biscuits are going to waste, I'm gonna take issue with that.
I mean, they looked pretty good too, so.
Yeah, they did.
Damn it, now I want a biscuit.
I know, me too.
Why are we talking about food?
I can't stop now.
I know.
I do wonder if Doc and Constance still shared some sort of bond at the end, as we see Doc awaken at the bar the moment that Peacemaker kind of ends Constance for good. I know they're not, joined by, that, mutually assured destruction or curse or what have you anymore, but I thought that was an interesting point to have, cut right to Doc.
I had that fleeting moment as well. For pretty much the same reasons. We know that, especially since we know that Constance was killed, and presumably, either when her head was cut off or she had died prior to that. So, like, we kind of already knew that she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, she was definitely, because she was, like, corpsey when her head cut off. Look, it's been a while since I watched season 2, so leave me alone. Anybody who's going to be like, actually... Yeah, so, I mean, like, we knew she had died and hadn't affected Doc in any way. So, yeah, it was interesting, though, that the way they cut that.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a note I had. Kate can hold Peacemaker. And she did it multiple times in this episode, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Is it a matter of vampires not being demony enough, or Peacemaker not viewing her as a threat?
I did not notice that. Admittedly, I had a lot of tarot and Bible notes to write up, but that's really cool.
Yeah, because when Wynonna gets there and they put their guns down at the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a point where Kate grabs it from her. And then that's when they pull out the knife. That's when Wynonna pulls out her knife.
Yeah, totally.
And then when Constance walks in, you know, Peacemaker's on the table still, and Wynonna goes to reach for it, and Kate puts her hand on it. And then lets her have it. So there is also a point where Kate is holding Peacemaker and her gun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she holds Peacemaker multiple times, and I'm wondering if it's a matter of Peacemaker not viewing her as a threat, or if vampires, like, in this world maybe aren't demony enough for it to register, or something like that. Like, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting that Kate could hold Peacemaker, though.
Yeah, dude, that's a great observation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We got oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, we talked a little bit about Constance in the barn. I am so tired of watching people throw Nicole off into a wall or off into something. Like...
Yeah, she's kind of the Giles of the group, isn't she?
And, yeah, we've definitely said that before. But it's like, she's a sheriff now. Like... She's a badass she's a badass in her own right. Like, stop throwing her around. Pick on somebody else. It's just the frustrating way to knock her out, like, to kind of get her out of a fight quickly. I'm just like, she can definitely hold her own more than this. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I thought it was a great bit of physical comedy when Wynonna is caught, like, hiding behind the pool table and she, like, snags Peacemaker when she attempts to, like, gracefully stand up.
Yes.
Also, like, adorable Wynonna trying to flirt poorly is everything to me.
Oh, yeah. I had the Peacemaker getting caught on the pool table in there, too, because that made me happy every time I watched it.
That whole scene, too, with her and Jeremy is just... That's a fantastic scene right in the beginning, yeah. It's
so great. I mean, her trying to teach him how to play pool, but then pointing out, oh, this is a placenta stain, you know, put it in a corner corner pocket / stirrup. Like, it was so great. And even when Jeremy gets up and walks away and he says, good luck hosing the deal, and Wynonna, like, slaps him, it's all so great. It is.
Yeah.
And I appreciate getting these moments considering where they were several episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so good. But yeah, I definitely had the Peacemaker on the pool table note.
Yeah.
Because it was so good. I have a note that just says Wynonna's outfit. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know if hair and makeup, like, is doing something different, like, for Wynonna's, like, hair, but I thought she looked more amazing than usual in this episode. And, like, she's always got great hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, just something, like, when she's, and I really dig Wynonna's horribly awkward dinner date, but that was, like, where I noticed. I was like, man, like, she just looks phenomenal in this episode.
She really does. I mean, she really did. But, yeah, that once again, the secondhand embarrassment in watching that dinner date, too.
Yes.
I mean, it was just one of those moments where you're like, oh, God. Like, her buttering a breadstick. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't butter breadsticks. And if I did, it would not be like that. Like, it was just kind of, like, such an awkward...
it just looked like I need something to do with my hands.
Oh, it totally was.
Yeah.
It was 100% I need something to do with my hands.
I love that she like, there is nothing normal about her or her life, so small talk is all but impossible for her.
I know.
And that's what I liked about it so much. Like, she can't do it.
I also, like, speaking of that dinner, it's like she orders the chicken balls or whatever, eggs Benedict, and a great wall of spaghetti and meatballs, and I have questions / concerns about her diet. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just, or like what was going on that table period for the both of them. That's some choices.
That was a concoction.
Yes. It's a little rough. But she didn't even get to eat it.
Poor baby.
But I know. It's just terrible. Oh, that was another note I had about Kate. See, now I'm just jumping because I'm like, what little moment did I forget to mention? But when Wynonna first bursts into the mansion and just seeing Kate standing there with, like, the glass of wine in one hand and the gun in the other was just so great.
Yeah.
I love that moment so much. And she's just like, I wonder when you were going to show up. It's like keeping it classy. And it was definitely wine because there's not a snowball's chance in hell that was blood in that glass. So it was red wine.
Yeah.
I guess my one last, like, little favorite moment is when they're doing when Wynonna comes in and is like, I know what Bolshar's after, and she's going over the tarot cards. When she drops the lover's card, I love her. I feel so smart right now, look. She's so excited. She's like, I've got knowledge and I've got answers and here you go, bitches. And I love it.
On the opposite end, I really like Jeremy and Waverly being like, that's a metaphor for Bolshar's dick. Or like, this is about his dick.
The Wang metaphor, yeah.
Yeah, that was so funny.
I almost said that when you were talking about his devil card. Because you had mentioned, I think, bondage, and that was when I was like, do not make the Wang joke.
I thought that was really funny.
Because I totally was about to.
It's the way Waverly's just like, duh, and then Jeremy looks up from that book, and he's like, come on, like, of course that's what it's about. Oh, I got a really good laugh out of that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they all just kept it going. It was all of them that were just like... So that kind of does it for my notes that aren't quotes.
Me too.
So now we can go and figure out how many effing quotes I have this week. Oh god, I have too many.
Yeah, you have more than me and too many. That's my guess.
I really have too many. Go on.
Right.
You might want to start.
I really love, and it was one of my favorites of the entire episode, Wynonna's, I think I lost an umbilical cord around here somewhere.
Yes. Oh, that was great. Yeah, I mean, I kind of loved her. How was little Christopher Robin still patrolling the 100 Asshole Wood?
That was one of mine too, yeah.
Laugh, yeah.
I like Jeremy's, what happened to squeezing his lemons?
I know. And I mentioned that, like, her just talking about, like, aim at the placenta stain, which should drive right into the corner pocket / stirrup. They have breadsticks and knives that look like tiny swords. 5 stars.
Yep. I liked Robin's glamored out. He smells like sex tobacco.
Yeah. He bit my maybe kind of boyfriend. I haven't even bitten my maybe kind of boyfriend yet.
Did that albino squirrel go all aggro again?
It's a great one, too. Well, date night has officially become steak night, as in vampire, not fillet. You in? And Wynonna asking Kate, why do you get a better entrance? Been working on them for a century.
I liked that. I really
She's
like,
so
come on, the whiskey's warm. You monster.
That one was so good. Oh, Robin's really terrible, like, when Waverly, how do you feel about potatoes? Oh, I find them very appealing.
You love
Terrible
puns.
joke.
You love them so much.
I do. And he loves puns, so I love him a little bit.
I like the exchange between Kate and Wynonna. You're a lot like Wyatt, you know, same eyes full of mischief and foreboding. You're not going to talk me out of shooting you with your fortune-tellery adjectives, adverbs, nouns.
That one was on my list too.
It's the way it's stretched out.
I know. She's just like, oh god, I've backed myself into this corner and now I can't stop. Damn it, that's a bigger tiny sword. When Kate pulls out like that, I think it's Doc's hunting knife. We talked about, hey, I better be your bay of honor.
Yeah.
I just really love Dom's delivery with, because you guys, Robin just licked a potato.
I like when Charlie and Doc are talking about Charlene, Doc's car. She's got a good sized trunk on her, right? Who cares if she failed her emissions test?
And him like petting the car is, I love that moment so much. It was so great. Oh, Jeremy, like, also not the first person to pee in this barn. We have a bathroom. It's like, Nicole, what is it with dudes? Seriously.
I liked Kate's power recognizes power, even if it is fading. Yeah.
That was a good one. Oh, and Doc explaining who Constance was, and then Charlie just being like, I'm gonna need a chart. Don't we all? Constance Clutie, woman, can't I have one goddamn dinner party without you getting all up in my biscuits?
Yeah, that was amazing. And we said it, you know, hey, I survived a massacre and I'm being haunted by a demon's ring. Yeah, I touched tentacle goo and made a lightning rod of spoons.
So great. And we talked about, like, the Wang metaphor thing, and then Nicole had that. So I had negligent hippie parents, and I smoked cigarettes behind the church instead of ever going in. But is paradise supposed to be in North America? And I kind of really like Wynonna's reaction to that, because she kind of has a moment of, like, respect, hot. I liked Wynonna calling Kate Perfect Nose Kate.
Yeah.
You're out, aren't you?
Yes.
I liked Kate saying it's no small thing to be able to choose your own end.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a really good line. Okay, that's all I'm going to mention.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really, if anybody wants to know what my quotes lists look like, I will share them with you. It's sometimes scary. Sometimes.
She likes to transcribe.
I just can't help it. I don't know if it's necessarily a thing that I like doing. It's just like turned into this weird compulsion. Yeah. It's just like must have all of the knowledge. I like transcripts. I like having handy access to things. So yeah, I don't know that I actually like the process of transcribing though.
Okay.
So, I just like to have it.
That's a fine line, my friend, but alright.
It is. Transcription is a bitch. So I appreciate all those who do it. But alright, if that does it for everything that you need to mention, I am sure there is something I forgot to mention or, you know, neglected to, because this was a kind of information-packed episode.
Yeah, it was a big one.
So, thank you once again for your tarot knowledge drop and your Bible knowledge drop.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I knew instantly that you were going to be doing that.
Happy to help.
Alrighty. Well, with that, thank you everyone for listening. And if you haven't read my recap yet and are interested in checking it out, I've retweeted it from the Make Your Peace Twitter. I actually remembered to do that prior to recording. So you can check that out at 4YE_MYP podcast. You can go directly to the 4YE Twitter at 4_Y_E to see it right when it goes up. And you can also go directly to the site at 4ye.co.uk. And you can find me personally on Twitter at cmeushaw. That's at CMEUSHAW. And Lara, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at RSMayfair.
Alrighty. So thank you so much for listening, guys, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.